As children, we are all taught to stand up straight, to have good posture. But in the network marketing field, the word posture has a deeper meaning. Good business posture includes such items as self-image, commitment, attitude, belief in yourself, and belief in your business. The man you're about to meet has mastered the art of good posture and translated it into one of today's most successful networks. When Billy and Peggy Florence first began building their network marketing business, Billy was an Air Force pilot, and the young couple saw network marketing as a way to supplement Peggy's teaching income so that they could start their family. Both had earned college degrees, Peggy in special education and Billy in aerospace engineering. As they began to dream bigger dreams, their posture improved and their business prospered. Peggy's teaching income has since been replaced, and they have been blessed by the birth of their 3 children, Hope, Rich, and Jay. Let's join Billy now for Building Your Network with Posture.
Maybe y'all come from a family nobody's ever done anything major, and you want to be the first one. I don't know. There's different things that motivate people. All I'm doing is just hitting it. But if you can get inside of somebody, if you can figure out what it is that turns you on, then the mechanics of doing this thing are very simple if you're excited about what you're doing. But you got to be moving, and you got to be excited, you got to be running, and you just can't kind of just walk along and have people be excited to follow. You got to be moving, and you got to have that little spark. It's like those 2 birds that's flying over the Air Force Base, and they saw these 2 jets taking off, and one bird said to the other and said, "Boy, look at them birds. They are really, man, they can really fly." And the other said, "Well, we could too if our tail was on fire." So really, I think if we can get people's tail on fire, that's kind of what we're talking about doing, right? And so, you know, more I study, I find out that that's what makes all the difference. So, anyway, let me talk about some little bit of stuff about the mechanics of this thing, and because it's not that complicated, but yet sometimes when I say that, I got to realizing today, I was sitting there thinking about this, how even though we say it's not complicated, it's also not totally natural. Because I've seen some really, really sharp people, just about everybody, unless they've had some experience in some type of thing that gave them an advantage on the beginning part of this business. Most of us, if they're like me or like most of you, this is not logical, the way we tell you to do things. And so in your mind, maybe you're going to have to get it all figured out before you really do what we tell you here. Or maybe if I can just explain why we do it, you'll trust me, and then you'll save some effort, okay? But if you got your paper and pen, I'm going to scribble down some stuff that's real good stuff. I'm not going to scribble, I'm going to talk, and you scribble down some thing. I'm going to tell you some stuff here that might save you. You know, you may mess up a prospect that you could have sponsored that would go ahead and build this thing and be a direct or pearl, emerald, or diamond, and because you didn't say the right things or didn't do it right, you missed them, okay? And I was talking back to the room right before the meeting about a mutual person I had talked to recently that wasn't presented the same way, and it wasn't done like I'm going to tell you, and we lost that guy, and really sharp prospect. I got to believe it would have got in had he seen it a different way and had the whole thing presented to him right. So anyway, let's start off. To build this thing, one of the first things you want to do is get you a list of names. Let me just talk about that for a second. Get you a list of names. It needs to be written down. It needs to, if you say, well, I don't know anybody, then we're going to, there's more people that you don't know than you do know. So even if you didn't know a soul and you just moved into Atlanta and you just been here a day and you don't know anybody, well, first of all, you know people other places that you can network with, and so there's a way to do that. But you're going to meet people, you're going to meet more people. I always somebody said one night, I said, well, I don't know how to meet people. I said, well, you got friends now, yeah? And I said, well, how'd you get to know them? Said, I met them. And I said, well, you'll meet some more, just like you met them, So you're going to meet people all your life. The people we're showing the program to today, we got people we put on our list to show the program to. We never got to them. Why? Because we met somebody else and we started working with them, and then next thing you know, we met somebody else and started working with them, and so we never got around to some of the first people we had on the list. So you're not going to run out of names. And let me ask you this. How many of y'all have a good list of names? Raise your hand. Got a good prospect list. Not enough hands went up. Let me ask you, we got a special deal here tonight. Before you leave, and we're going what we're going to do is if every name you put on that piece of paper that's a legitimate name, that's a good prospect, we're going to give you $100 for it. Okay? How many of y'all could add some names to your list tonight? Huh? How many of y'all could get at least 10 names on there, right? And people say, well, I don't know anybody. If you give them, I tell you this, sometimes you say, listen, you take a guy and say, I'll give you $1,000. And I'd do this, I'd give anybody in here, if you don't get into business or whatever, don't do it. If you give me a name of somebody who goes direct, I'll pay you $1,000 for every name that you give me that goes direct. How many of y'all would work that deal with me? I mean, how many of y'all would do the same deal with somebody else? You give somebody. How many of y'all would give a guy $1,000 for a name of somebody that went direct? Okay, anybody didn't raise a hand? Either you're writing or you don't understand the plan. Right? And because every direct that you build should be worth to you. You can't put a number because you don't know how big this thing's going to get. See, and it's just a matter. When you start thinking like that, you start thinking about people, and you're going to know people all over the place. So here's the thing: you should set a goal to put at least 100 names on a piece of paper. They may, half of them live in Atlanta, another half live someplace else. They could live overseas. They may live in Germany. They may live in Japan. They may live in Thailand, right, Ken? Or they may live, anybody got any Thailand names? Give them to Ken. He's going when? Another week, 2 weeks. He'll be back in Thailand. So, you can network all over the world, and we don't just say that. We really mean that. And but build you a list here, get you a good list, and if you don't know anybody, then your upline or whatever, they'll go out with you and show you how you can meet people or whatever. Now, what you need to do, and this will help you so much, is to sponsor people on your level and above. Okay? And when you say that, a lot of people say, what does that mean? Okay, your level and above. But everybody in here has got a sphere of influence. You got people you're associated with, that you're good friends with, that you be honest, you kind of look up to them and you think they are really got a lot on the ball. Then you got other people you associate with, and you think maybe you're a little sharper than them, but you associate with them. Okay? And I found time and time again when people start this thing, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll say, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sponsor these people because they'll be impressed by me. Okay? And maybe that works and maybe it doesn't, but next thing you know, these people get in and they have a tendency to do the same thing, and then they want to sponsor people going to be impressed by them. And if you go down about 3 or 4 levels, I can give you a couple seminars on what's going to happen. But you're basically working down here with people who haven't got any dreams. They ain't got any goals. Most of these people quit everything they ever did in their life. That's why they're where they are. Is that not true? They become what we call projects. Now, that doesn't mean some of y'all are not going to like me because I said that, but I'm going to tell you firsthand. They're not going to lead anybody until they get themselves straightened out. And I'm not saying it wouldn't be great to work with those people. But why don't you go ahead and get you an income built up? Why don't you get yourself rolling good, and when you got time, then you can work with them. But don't start with them. Okay? Now, a lot of you got some people on your list up here or up here, and you're just waiting until you get this thing really going, see? And once you get it really going, you're going to contact them. Let me ask you, who's got the most motivation already? Y'all going to have to give me an answer. Who's got the most motivation? Hadn't convinced you. Who's got the most motivation? You may say, well, it depends. Well, as a general rule, about 99% accurate, the people that are doing the best got the most motivation. That's how come they got there. Okay? The people that are down here that hadn't done anything in their life, and it's like, sometimes I say, why do you want to show it to this lady or this guy? Well, he broke his leg 2 years ago, and he hadn't been able to work, and his family's this and this, and they start telling me this story, and as they start telling me, I'm just about getting wiped out just listening to the story. And it's not that I don't have a big heart. It's just that I'd rather work with them after we get them successful. Because right now, what you need to do is, how many of y'all would like to have about 4 or 5 people trying to pass you? How many of y'all would like to have 4 or 5 people wanting to go direct? Do you know that you would go direct? Y'all know the plan, right? You got 4 or 5 people trying to go direct. You won't have any problem going direct. But if you're trying to drag a bunch of people who don't want anything in life, you're not ready for that yet. I'm not saying you can't do it 5 years from now after you get some experience, but right now you're probably not good enough to do that. So the best thing to do is show the program to people on your level and above. Okay? Y'all got that down? Your level and above. And I'll tell you, it'll grow a lot faster that way, and they'll see so much more in the program, and they're so much easier to work with. Okay? Now, why don't we want to short people like that? Sometimes we don't think we're sharp enough. See? And that's why one thing we teach people is, well, you want to dress as sharp as you can. You want to look sharp. See, there's some people that don't relate, haven't learned how to relate to lots of different people. And so, you know, a lot of times people, they've only hung around people just like themselves, and so they want to show the program to people just like themselves. But you got to learn how, if you're going to relate to all different types of people. One night I may be in the house showing it to somebody, and he's got a $300,000 home, and then the next night I may be driving my car down a dirt road to show the plan to somebody who's living in a rented trailer or whatever, and not to that. But you know that we're going to have to go from one extreme to the other. And I can remember a few years ago. Told this story on a tape one time, but I can remember doing a meeting one of my attorneys a couple of years ago in the Bank of Atlanta. What was that thing, Terry? Atlanta Towers, you know, up there in that suite up there on the top floor, and we was up there doing some business on some stuff, and came down and went back to Athens and got my twin-engine airplane and flew to South Georgia, and got out of my plane. The guy met me in a pickup truck, and we, you know, I'm getting in the pickup truck with my suit on and got my briefcase, and we're riding in the pickup truck, and we turned off about 4 or 5 dirt roads down into this little house. Terry was down there that night. You flew with me, didn't you? And you know, that was a big difference between the penthouse suite of that Atlanta building and that trailer house, all in one day. Okay? A few years ago, I don't think I could have done both of those. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to be willing to work with everybody, but want to sponsor on your level and above, and feel like that what you got is the best thing in the world to show people. See, I'll show it to anybody if I believe in it, right? And you'll show it to anybody if you believe in it. If you see this thing, if I say, "What's your goal?" Y'all getting anything out of this night? Y'all with me? If I say, "What's your goal?" So my goal is I want a new refrigerator out of this thing. It's going to be kind of hard for you to get motivated to go show the program to somebody that lives in a $250,000 house. Because he probably ain't going to get motivated about a refrigerator. You understand what I'm saying? If your goal is that you see down the road that you can have a multi-million-dollar business and that you can be full-time in this thing and that you can travel around the world and have an airplane and do all these type of things, if that's your thinking, it won't be hard for you to show the program to anybody. Does that make sense? Now, let me ask you, if you're going to build a multi-million-dollar business, and that's what you're showing. I don't know whether you realize that, but the program you saw, if you're brand new or the people's been out, anytime you show the program to people, you're saying, hey, what you're talking about is you sponsor 6 and forward 2 and then help those people do the same thing and go diamond. You're talking about a multi-million-dollar business every night you show this thing. You're talking about personally having a business that does several $1 million worth of business. So the best way to look at it, who would you want on your board of directors? Does this make any sense? Who would you want on your board of directors with you? If you go out and show the plan to somebody and you're showing a multi-million-dollar business, you can feel good about it. If you're going out to show somebody just a little thing you're doing to 5 years down the road get a new lawnmower, you're going to have a hard time. First of all, if you came to my place, you're not going to sponsor me. Okay? Because I can look right there and look in your eye and I can tell that I believe more in what I'm doing, what you do, and what you're doing. Does that make any sense? And so what I'm saying is to be willing to sponsor up, we got to get our attitude up, and we got to be excited about what we're doing. Now, the contact, I'm going to write a little word up here, and I think I was looking back the last time we were here, we talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to write a word up here so that you'll remember this, okay? And you write down in your notes. Posture, okay? Posture. The whole way we teach you how to do this thing is to keep the right posture with people. Somebody said one time, it's not what you say or do, it's the posture you're in when you say or do it that counts. It's not so much what you say or do, it's the posture you're in when you say or do it. Now, a lot of times when you build this thing, if you're not careful, and I find most new people find themselves in this position, they lose the posture with people. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I mean by that for a while. And so let me ask you, how do y'all feel right now? Great. I want you to say, I feel great. I feel great. Okay, that's great. Y'all the way. Anytime I think I'll lose you, I'll just ask you how you feel. See if y'all out there. All right. So the posture on the contact. We're going to start. We're going to talk about this all the way through. The posture on the contact determines whether you're going to sponsor them down the road. It determines your sponsoring rate. The way you contact somebody in the beginning, the way you hand tape to somebody determines your ability down the road, your sponsoring rate. The way you show the program, the posture you keep on that, it determines your sponsor rate. The way you follow them up determines your sponsoring rate. So we're going to talk about setting a posture with people that you've got something great. I got the greatest vehicle in the world. It'll help their life. I believe in what I'm doing, but I'm not going to wait on them. My train's moving on. My time is important, and I don't need them. Okay? Anytime I show the program to people, I know I don't need them to be successful. You got to realize, anybody on your list, do you really need them? All you need is 6 people, go diamond, but you don't need them because there's an unlimited supply of people out there. So your posture is that you're moving on, you don't need them, and you don't chase people or whatever. Now, posture. What determines what our posture will be with people? One is our self-image, how we see ourselves. Self-image comes into a lot of different things. If we see ourselves as never being successful in anything, and we're not having a lot on the ball, and people not respecting us and not being very sharp, then it's going to be hard for us to keep posture with people, because automatically we're going to put those people up on the pedestal we're talking to. And we're not going to lead them, they're going to lead us. So we've got to have a self-image. Am I communicating here? Your self-image determines how much posture you can keep with people. Your commitment to what you're doing determines your posture. If your commitment, this happens to a lot of brand new people. They're not really committed to it because they don't want to get committed. See, the problem with being committed is, you say, if I get committed and don't work, how am I going to live with myself? That's that fear of failure. Most people always leave a back door. So I'm not going to get too committed, because if it doesn't work, I can always live with myself, because I can say, well, I wasn't really committed. See, a lot of people are afraid to give it everything they got, fear it won't work, and then how are they going to explain it to themselves? That's lack of commitment. If we're totally committed to what we're doing, it's a lot easier for us to say the right things as far as posture. Are we with me here? But if we're not committed, then our posture is going to be weak, and people are going to figure that. Our belief in what we're doing. Our belief in, quote, the Amway Corporation. Not that you're going to deal a whole lot with them, you're going to deal with the merchandise, but to know that they've been around for 27 years, to know that they got a warranty and a guarantee program, to know that they back up what they say they're going to do. You've never dealt, I don't believe anybody here has never dealt with a corporation that is as good as they are at dealing with their people. You've never had an experience in your lifetime, and I'm not saying that because I'm know-it-all. I'll just be willing to bet that you'll find that to be true. And so I believe totally that they're going to support us. Okay, so I believe in Amway. I also believe in this quote system. I believe in Dexter and Bertie Yeager. I believe in the people I believe in you guys that I know out here. I believe in the people in our organization, people in other organizations, and I believe in these people that I've listened to, so I believe that they know what they're doing. Okay, my belief. Okay, that determines my posture. Then another thing that determines my posture is my experience. Okay? When I first got started, I didn't keep my posture right because I didn't have any experience, and I didn't really realize what I was doing. So what I'm going to do is talk about posture. Now, if you don't have a lot of experience, that's all right. You're going to lose some people because you lose your posture, but you should learn from that. Okay? But the key is, if we're committed to what we do, we believe in it, and our self-image is up there, and we gain some experience, and we're going to set the posture right with people. Let me tell you, it's not intelligence that makes the difference. It's not IQ. Now, some of y'all, that's going to deflate you a little bit because you got a high IQ. A lot of you, that's going to make you feel good. Most of us, that makes us feel good to know it's not intelligence. You're going to look through this. They got this little magazine called Ammogram. Y'all seen those that come out every month, and you see people hitting different levels, and you're going to look through there, and you're going to figure out, if you just look through a couple of them, that it's probably not IQ that makes a difference. Okay? And that's not it. It's not really talent. I don't believe that, say, well, that guy made it because he was just born to do this thing. It's not that. That's not what it is. Okay? It's not how much money somebody has when they start. That's not what determines the posture. What determines the posture is a person's self-image, their commitment, their belief, and the things they've learned through experience. Okay? That determines it. All right? Now, when you talk to somebody about this program, they don't really hear the words you say. What they hear is your attitude coming across. That's worth writing down. They don't hear your words. What they hear is your attitude. And your attitude is determined by your self-image, your commitment, your belief, and your experience. If your attitude's up there, then you can say any words that'll work. Okay? And I've had some people take these words I'm going to give you, and they couldn't get nothing to work because they didn't believe what they were saying. They weren't committed to it. They didn't have a good self-image, and they didn't have any experiences. Does that make any sense? And anyway, your attitude is the most important. Now, I can prove that to you. How many of y'all were at Dream Night? Raise your hand. How many of y'all found that your contacting worked out pretty good right the next week after Dream Night? How many of y'all found everything you said worked? Okay? You were saying the same words you said before, but all of a sudden, boom, look at everybody's getting in, everybody's fired up, right? Because your attitude was up there. And the key is, can we keep our attitude up there all the time? But anyway, what is your image of Amway? That has a lot to do with the way you control your posture. We don't beg people, we don't need them, and we don't talk too much. Now, first thing I learned in this, they said, now we don't want to, we use a thing called curiosity, okay? And I didn't understand that because, you have a lot, and I don't think it's true today, but there are still some people that say, I want to just be real up front, and I want to tell people, hey, we want to talk to you about Amway, network marketing, and let me tell you what Amway's doing, and I know you've seen it before, but let me just tell you what Amway's all about. And you can take that approach to this business, and you're going to lose 75 to 90% of your prospects because it will not work. Okay? Now, what works in anything you do like this is curiosity. You got to learn how to build curiosity, and it's kind of like you're climbing up a mountain. Every little thing, you tell them just a few things, and you build that curiosity up, but then you stop it, and you leave them hanging up here. The more you talk, how many of y'all have contacted somebody and they asked you a question, so you answered it? Raise your hand. Wonder what happened after that? Did they ask you another question? How many of y'all had them ask you another one? And then what'd you do? Answered it. Then what happened? Ask you another one. Then they answered. Now, my first week in business, one of my best friends, I called him up, and for over an hour, in fact, I tell this on my story, I said, get out a piece of paper, and I showed him the plan over the telephone. For over an hour, maybe more like 2 hours. Can you imagine you draw you a big circle there, see? I got into trouble because I called him and he asked a question, I answered, he asked a question, he answered, and next thing you know, he strung me right out, and I lost my posture, and you know what posture was. I didn't know till several years later. That's what happened. I lost my posture with him. So I lost him. Curiosity is the whole name of the game, all right? Now, anything you do, basically the purpose of the contact is just to get together with them to give them some information. And so, anyway, that's why we don't try to explain the program to people over the phone. So, what we got today is we started writing down, if I don't tell people what to say in the beginning, they'll automatically say the wrong thing. If I sponsor the sharpest person in the world and say, okay, now what you need to do is talk to 10 people about this thing, if I don't tell them what to do, I'll guarantee you they'll do the wrong thing with all 10 of them. And they'll come back and say, this don't work. Okay? If they come back. But what happens, they've got discouraged because they think everybody in the world's stupid, and it's not the people are stupid, it's they didn't do the right thing. So we started writing down some words for people to say. And then I got tired of writing it down, so we printed it up. So then we can just hand it to them. These are just some words that will work. And how many of y'all use a sheet kind of like this? Okay, I brought some sheets. How many of y'all have never seen this sheet? I'm involved in business people in the marketing network. If you hadn't got one, I'm going to just kind of pass them back, Randy, and everybody get one. But anyway, I'm involved in business people in the marketing network. Okay? Why do we have those words in there? I'm involved with some business people in the marketing network. That's designed to set an image there, right? I'm involved in some business people in the marketing network. It says we have access at wholesale to over 4,000 different products from over 300 different manufacturers. What's that designed to do? Create one thing. What is it? We have access at wholesale over does that get your attention? 4,000 items, 300 manufacturers at wholesale. How many of y'all that gets your attention? Builds a little curiosity there, okay? Everything from chewing gum to payphones. Now you can pick out whatever you want. You can use satellite dishes. You can use whatever you want to use in there. You can use audible. You can do whatever. So we're in the process of expanding, and I can't promise you anything. Now, we're in the process of expanding. Why is that in there? Huh? There's room for you. I mean, it tells them why I'm calling them. Hey, we're in the process of expanding. That's what I'm doing on the phone here. Hey, and I can't promise you anything. Now, what does that do? You want to know the most important sentence in the whole thing? I can't promise you anything. I don't know. It took me a couple years. Somebody finally got that to me, and I learned I can't promise you anything means that you may or may not qualify for what I got. As long as I'm chasing people, and this is the biggest thing that most of us got to watch, even me today, and is just don't get in a posture of chasing people. Because who wants to be gotten? Right? You chase people. If they feel like you need them, y'all listen to this because this is, a lot of you doing this. They feel like you need them, and they don't want to be in business with anybody that needs them. Let me say that again. Nobody wants to be in business with people that need them. People want to be in business with people that are going somewhere whether they get on board or not. Do I need to say that again? That's good stuff. That's worth $1 million right there. That's good stuff. If you build this business, you'll understand how important that is with people. Just don't chase people. You don't need them. Okay? We're in the driver's seat. I can't promise you anything till we can kind of go over the details. But I've got some information on networking I'd like to run past you. I got some house plans I'd like to show you. You know, I got some numbers I'd like to run by you. I've got some information on networking I'd like to run past you. Okay? Now, those words will work. If your belief is up there, you're committed, your self-image will say it right, and you got a little bit of experience. Like the first time you read this thing, I'm involved with some business people in a marketing network. We have access at wholesale to over 4,000 products from over 300 different manufacturers. That's somebody that has no experience. Would you be excited to be with them? Okay? How do you get experience on this contact? You don't even have to do it on the phone to somebody. Just do it. Just walk around the house. You don't have to be talking to anybody. Then when you pick up the phone, it'll just come out naturally. Does that make sense? You know, do I have to use this to make it work? No. But I found it's better to teach somebody something than to just say anything will work. So once you get good, you can do all kind of things. You can just say, hey, we need to get together. What's it all about? Talk to you about I want to get to you. I mean, you can do all kind of things once you get a little experience, you get some commitment, you get some belief. You know, once you get your self-image up there, anything you say will work because your attitude's what's coming across. But in the beginning, these words will work. Well, what is it? We got some volume discounts on 1,000 miles. That's what the information I want to run by you covers. Who is it? Group independent business people. If people ask you home, well, I want to know more about it before I get this information. I'll tell you what. What I do with somebody like that, now, if somebody does that to you, you got to think one of two things. Either your attitude is really low, your belief's low, your commitment's low, and you're really down, self-image, you're not putting on the right posture. Either you blew it, or you're talking to somebody that you're wasting your time with. I'll be honest, if somebody's self-image is so low that they got to check it out really thoroughly on the phone before they even take a tape, I'd rather go work with somebody else. Because it's been my experience, that person's going to drag his feet on everything, and the worst thing could happen to you would be for them to get in. Because then you're going to spend a whole bunch of time trying to make somebody do something that doesn't have any motivation. You understand what I'm saying? So the best thing, the part of what this contact's designed to do is to qualify people for you and save you some time. The tape that we're handing out, to what we call the advertising package. You know what that's designed for? It's for posture. That's what it's designed. It's designed to help you keep your posture, increase your posture of what you got with people. So now, when you get, you want to stay in control of the thing when you're on the contact and all the way through. And when you go to their hand, you can make the greatest contact in the world right off this sheet, see? And you can go over there to hand them this tape and you can blow it. Okay, you can blow. How many of y'all have blown it when you hand them the tape? I really believe a lot of times we'd be better, and I kid about it, but a lot of new people would be better if they went over with their mouth taped up. You know? And just stuck it up there. And if you do that, they'll grab it. See? And that's all you want them to do. Right? But you get over there and start to, and what is it all about? And you start telling them a little bit, next thing you know, you right down the tubes. How many of y'all have done that? We want honest people in this thing. How many of y'all have done that? You lost it, okay? So, or you're looking at your shoes, you know, here, I want you to take this thing, and, you know, that won't get it either. But what you want to do is be in a hurry and just say, basically, just talk to them. Say, listen, I've got some information here, and I'm not going to tell you a lot about it. Just want you to go through this. This sheet talks about the different product divisions that we got and the different markets we're in. This tape talks about network marketing as a It's an alternative way to increase income, and it's very professionally done. I think it's got a lot of good information. And here's a tape on network marketing. I mean, a brochure on network marketing. A lot of people don't know much about it. So I want you to go through this information. Now, I've done good up till then, right? I can then turn around and walk off and have I done a good job? No, because I forgot the most important thing. I handed up the tape. I said, now, when will you have a chance to listen to this thing? That's what's called what? Posture. When will you have a chance to listen to this thing? If you'll do it, what do most people tell you, Jeff, when you tell them that? I tell them it takes about 30 minutes to listen to it. When will you have a chance to listen to it? Not tomorrow. If a guy says, I'm just really busy and maybe I'll listen to it by this weekend. Okay? What that tells me is the posture's wrong. Anybody that tells you that thinks that you're needing them. That's what's going through their mind. So what you need to do is automatically, that should key in here, I got to take it away from them. Okay? Somebody says, hey, I can't go through it till the weekend or whatever, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to need it before then, and see, I'm in a hurry, and I'm looking for a couple of partners right now. I've got some other people that I've made some commitments to, and I'll tell you what, I'll try to get back with you. You give me a call back, I'll try to get back with you next week or so. If he lets me take that thing away, I just saved me a bunch of time. Did I increase my posture? Does he know I believe in what I got? Does he know I don't need him? Right? And so I win. Okay? And what happens when you do that? What do most people do? Yes, I'll listen to that thing tonight. Because I know that guy ain't so busy he can't find 30 minutes to listen to it. See, I've handed, how many of y'all handed them out and they say, I can't get to it till the weekend? Oh, no problem. I'll get back with you on the weekend, and you get back the weekend, what do they tell you? Hadn't had a chance to listen to it. Just give me about 3 more days. How many of y'all done this? You call back 3 days later, what do they say? We've been so busy we ain't had a chance to listen to it. And you call me this weekend. Now you've been 2 weeks worried about this thing. You call them back and they, you call them on the phone and say, oh no, he's hounding me again. See, what you're doing is you're chasing them because you've lost your posture. Does this sound familiar? Be honest, how many of y'all have done this? Okay, if not, you probably hadn't done much, because you'll do this, and you'll have your people do this. And so, posture's important. So when we hand that tape to them, say, when will you have a chance to listen to it? Just tell them, I'm in a hurry, we got to move quick on this thing, I'm looking for a couple people, so I'm going to need you to listen to it tonight, or when will you have a chance to listen to it? Great, okay. Do you want me to call you back, or what time you want me to call you back, or whatever? And you set up a time, and that's the way you do that, okay? Now, so you stayed in control, you qualified them, asked them when they were going to listen to it. You're not real iffy, wishy-washy, you got good eye contact with them, believe in what you're doing, okay? Now, if a guy, so when you get through that, then you call them back, okay? When you call a person back, you should get near 100% response.
This is the end of side 1. Please turn the cassette over for the continuation of this program.
If you're not getting a good response off that tape, let me tell you something. It ain't the tape that's the problem. Y'all with me here? Now nobody's going to like me. It's not the tape. You know why? Because I know the people in our organization that have got the most commitment, the most belief, and have the highest self-image, and who are putting out the most of these things, every one of them will tell you we get 95 to 100% response positive from it. Yeah, that works in Alabama, Mississippi, California. It works all over the world. So the tape, it says something. Now, if you call somebody back and they kind of mealy-mouth around, say, great, that's the purpose of this tape, was for you to listen to this, and if there's not an interest, it'll save me some time. Don't tell them you're going to save them some time. Okay? Say that's the purpose of it, to save me some time. Okay? But I don't believe you'll have a problem with that. I believe that you'll find almost everybody, if you hand the tape out right, say the right words to people, you're going to get a fantastic response with it. Now, so what you do is say, okay, we need to get together. You call them up and you say, hey, did you listen to the tape? And they'll say yes, so we need to get together then, don't we? That's about all you got to say. And we're going to need to get together for about an hour and a half, and we'll go through some of the products, and we'll go through some things. Hey, do you have a VCR at your house? I may just ask that. And so I may bring a VCR to show you, but we'll sit down and go through some information, and let's set it up about 7:30 or 8 o'clock. You set up the time. Now, if a guy says, well, I'm going I say, what's your schedule like Thursday night? If the guy says, well, I don't know, we're kind of busy, I say, is there any way you can cancel it? One of the best things you can do to increase your posture is when you say to somebody, is there any way you can cancel it? How many of y'all would be willing to say that to somebody? You see, if our goal in 5 years is to get a new refrigerator, we're not going to ask anybody to cancel his bowling night. So sometimes you got to ask people, can you cancel it? Never say to somebody, never say to somebody, when can I get with you? When can I get... See, that's like saying, boy, your schedule is just almighty and powerful, and I'll just fit myself right into there. Anytime, man. I'm just going to be at home sitting here. You just call me, man. I'll run right over, and gosh, just anytime you want to get with me is great. See, you're putting them up here. You can't do that. Okay? You got to know you say to them, so, hey, listen, I've got a lot of things happening, and my time's really important, and, we need to nail down a time. What's your schedule look like? Such as, well, is there any way you can cancel it? That's the only free night I got this week. Is there any way you can cancel that? If you say that to people, they'll believe that you got something. You know why I wouldn't tell people that? Because I'm afraid that if I took it away from them, they'd let me take it away. I was afraid that if I was strong with people, that they would just, I'd blow them out. But you know what? I found that's like a lot of people. I know some of y'all are new tonight, and you say, well, gosh, he's been kind of hard or whatever. But I know one thing: you'd rather hear it this way. You'd rather hear the truth. I ain't never talked to anybody that'd rather have somebody sugar. How many of y'all would rather have somebody tell you what it's going to take to make it if you're going to do something? But that's not the way we'd rather hear it. And I've never somebody said, well, don't blow out my new guy. So if you blow him out, he wouldn't have done nothing anyway. Okay? And that may seem a little arrogant, but it really is true. And they're looking for somebody that's going somewhere. It's all the attitude, the way you deal, posture. Y'all getting this posture thing down? If we chase people around, Mike, you remember what we're talking about here? We chase people around. I know, we could go. I could give you some personal things with some of y'all I've been with, and it's because that's the way we started. I did the same thing. Y'all just didn't get a chance to go with me, okay, in the beginning. Okay? Try not to cry on the telephone when you call them. I found that's not very effective. Anyway, if somebody calls you back up, and really, you almost feel like it, right? But when somebody comes, if they call you back the last minute and they just got this flimsy excuse, just tell them, say, man, I'm glad you called, because I tell you, I was just fixing to call you because I'll be honest, I've got so much going right now since I called you that I don't really have time to work with you right now. And it's probably going to be a week or two, maybe even longer, before I'll even have time to fit you in. And I was just fixing to pick up the phone and call you, and I'm just so glad you called me because it saved me having to call you. I guarantee you, when they put that phone down, they know they talked to somebody, right? And if you'll do that, you'll have a lot. How many of y'all would respond better to that if somebody said that to you? What would I do? I would have increased my posture. Okay? We can be doing the greatest plan in the world, but if you're on your knees and that guy's up here and you're just begging him to get in, you can say all the right words mentally. You understand? If you're on your knees mentally with them, then you're wasting your time. Even if they love the business and loved what you showed them, they don't want to be in business with you. Okay? They don't, and it's not that they in their mind think, he's begging me and he's not a leader. That's not what they're thinking. They just kind of turned off. There's just certain thing about somebody that believes in what they're doing. And that's what, these functions are so important. Listening to tapes and reading. Because when you get that belief, you can tear it up. And when you don't, if you don't believe in what you're doing, then I don't believe you'll be able to influence many people that you got what you got is good. So anyway, that's a little bit about putting a plan in front of people. All right, now, when we get ready to show the plan to them, we got two ways of doing that. One is an open meeting, which is what we call an open opportunity meeting. It's when we're showing the program, and that'll either be at this hotel or some hotel, or maybe your sponsor's house or your upline's house. You can bring people to a meeting like that. I think it's sometimes hard to call somebody and say, hey, meet me over at Sam Jones's house. He lives over in Dunwoody, and it's the third house on the left, and he doesn't know Sam Jones, and he's going. How many of y'all would go to somebody's house you don't know, they hadn't invited you, and he said, just meet you over there? You're going to lose some people doing that. So if you're going to take them to somebody's house, it's a good idea to meet them and let them follow you over there, or take them with you in the car. That'll increase your numbers. Like even coming to a hotel. Say, meet me up here at the Radisson at 8 o'clock. Gonna be a bunch of people there. Well, I'll be honest, that didn't turn me on in the beginning. I'd want to go someplace I felt secure. If they took me with me, took me with them, I felt a lot better. So a lot of times you got to meet them at the hotel. It's better to pick them up or meet them somewhere or let them follow you over there or meet them at Denny's or something like that, so that they don't walk into some environment they don't feel comfortable with. That's the open meeting. The other way we can show the program to them is just one-on-one. I'll just call them back, and we'll say, let's get together, what's your schedule look like, and we'll go to their house and show the program, okay? And so, you sit down with people. Either way you do it, you start out, just kind of relaxing with people a little bit. If I'm doing an open meeting, we'll just kind of relax. I'm going to share something with you tonight, and we're just real low-key about it. And on a one-on-one, we kind of do the same thing. I'll kind of sit down at the kitchen table. The hardest thing I found on one-on-one in the beginning was just getting them to the place in the house I wanted them to go. So the best thing to do is just say, is there any reason we can't use your kitchen table over here? And just start walking over there, and they'll say, no problem. And if it's full of dishes and everything, just start moving them around. Just make yourself at home, and they won't have any problem with it. But if you go, I remember how many times I sat in the living room, and this living room is the place that they put people that they only go in there once a year, right? And somebody puts you in a living room, and there's a coffee table in between you, and there's a sofa over here and a sofa over here, and you're sitting across from each other. And I'll sit there, I'll just tell you, I don't want time to tell you, but several times I went and stayed an hour or two just in the living room. I couldn't get out of the living room. I kept waiting on them to ask me to the kitchen table. But see, they didn't know. So a couple times we went on home, never showed the program, because we never got past the living room. So I learned something. Best thing to do when you walk in the door is never go to the living room. Or what, I've had people say, won't y'all have a seat over here? And if you'll watch me, I won't ever sit down to where I don't want to be. Because it's a lot harder to get back up to go over there than it is to start with. So what I'll do is we'll just kind of look around at something that, and at their stuff in their house and relate a little bit. And I'll say, let's go sit down at the table over here. Any reason we can't use the kitchen table? And they'll say, no. I'd rather show the program at the kitchen table because people relax in the kitchen. Next thing you know, they'll bring some coffee or Coke or something. And you just kind of relax with people. So anyway, if you want to use, how many of y'all have used the video to show the program? That's a little thing you can do on a one-on-one if you want to. Then say, listen, I've got some little video for about 10 minutes I want to show you before we really get into it. And first question I might ask them, I said, tell me what you learned from the information that we left with you, the tape and the red thing and the green thing we call it. What kind of information did you get from that? I kind of like I can tell how sharp somebody is by what they tell me. I've had several people say, well, I didn't hear nothing on there. And they think that's an indictment on the tape. But they need, you could write a book off that thing. There's a tremendous amount of information on there. And so I don't say to them, you missed it. I just store that back here, right? But anyway, I'll say, let's go sit over here, and I may show a little bit of the video up to the point where it says Amway. I cut it off prior to that. Then I'll go back to the table and just touch on the dream a little bit. We do the 2 to 5 year plan. I basically today are doing a lot of things that are talking about saving money and making money. 2 parts of the program. One is to save a bunch of money on things that you normally spend money on and save some money. The other part's to make some money. And I may ask them, what would you be most interested in, saving any money or making money? And I figure most people at that point are going to say making money and saving money. So anyway, we'll show the program, do a little bit of the dream building, and 2 to 5 year plan is kind of an overview. The key is just to relate to people and plant a little seed. And the 45 year plan, you'll know if you're relating because they'll get to nod in their head. And so then I'll do the circles. And a lot of people will go straight to the circles. They'll skip all this other stuff because they don't think it's important. The circles don't sponsor anybody. Not only that, I remember the first 6 months I was in this, I tried to make people understand them. Now, do you understand it? No, well, let me go through it again. And then I'd go through there, and another thing I'd do is when I drew the circles, I'd say, now you're talking about doing 100 points. P-O-I-N-T-S. And I'd go through this thing, and I know how many of y'all can vouch for the fact that I don't write it that way anymore? You see me do the plan, nobody knows what I put up there. I can't even read it. Okay? The key is to get it up there and get it done in a hurry. And if you leave out a few steps, don't worry about it. I've never had anybody raise their hand and say, you messed up there, you messed that part right there. And if you leave out the 45 year plan, they're not going to say, hey, where's the 45 year plan? You missed that. They go, and if you got to use notes, that's all right. Say, I just got me some notes here so I won't forget anything. They'll look at you and say, man, if he's using notes, man, I believe I can do that thing. Okay? And so, yeah, we go through the plan, the circles, or just move through there, the history of the company. And when you go through the history of the company, there's a lot of belief that comes out there. If you can't believe in a company with 1 million independent contractors, see, everybody else is talking right now about doing what Amway's already done. Basically, what they're talking about is blue sky. If they can make it work in the next 5 to 10 to 15, 20 years, they can have what the numbers Amway's got. Amway's already done it. So I don't have any problem. I do the plan. I don't have any problem building up the corporation there. Now, there's several objections that I know I'm going to run into. Number one, if I'm talking to somebody over 25 years old, how many of y'all in here are over 25? Raise your hand. How many of y'all also had an exposure to Amway before, years ago? Okay, so just about everybody you show the program to over 25, they've already seen Amway years ago. So I know I've got to kill that objection. So, I'll say, as soon as I tell them it's Amway, I'll say the umbrella corporation we operate under is the Amway Corporation. And I'll say, now, if you're over 25, I know you've had an exposure before, maybe several years ago. And I'll just ask him, Joe, when's the last time you got exposed to this? And he'll say, well, 6 or 7 years ago. And I say, well, did you see the program and all how to make money? He'll say, yeah. And I'll say, well, if you're like me, back then you really liked the program, you just wasn't all that excited about the soap. And shake your head. He'll say, that's right. He's being honest. See, he had a status problem about the soap. That's all right. Millions of people did. Okay? I said, well, it's a little different today. If we'd had automobiles and we'd had air treatment systems and security systems and all that back then, it'd been different, wouldn't it? And they'll say, yeah. Y'all with me here? So I'm going to kill the objection that they've seen it before. If you think you're going to go out there and show this program, and as soon as you say Amway, if you think people aren't going to tell you they've seen it before, you just ain't showed the program. But that's no problem. How many of y'all had seen it before and you got in? The second time or the third time or the fourth time? Just about raise your hand. If you'd seen it before, but now you got back in. So that doesn't mean you won't be a good prospect if you've seen it before. Okay? They're going to have a hang-up about soap. And if you can't kill that one, goodness. I tell somebody, I just come right up front and say, how you like the soap part? Would you be excited about that? Sometimes I'll just ask them right up front. Oh, I ain't interested in soap. I said, well, you wouldn't mind buying wholesale. No, I wouldn't mind buying wholesale. I said, would you be more excited about satellite dishes or soap? Use the different products we got to get their attention away from just the fact that it's soap. And then the name Amway. The name itself. And because the name Amway in the American public's eyes still connotates soap. And it's probably always will till these people that grew up with Amway die. Just like Sears and Roebuck, to the people that knew Sears and Roebuck years ago, when they started it was pocket watches, watch repair business. That's how Sears and Roebuck started. But we don't think of Sears and Roebuck that way because the people that started with Sears and Roebuck are no longer alive. Okay? And so Amway's got this thing from the past, which is fine. So the way I kill that is I go through the big picture of what Amway's doing in the different product divisions, and you've seen us do that. So we kill the name part of the plan. Now, I'm really excited about the future networking. I talk about the future and where we're going and why it makes sense and alternative distribution and all of that. Now, to do that means you got to do your homework. You need to get a copy of an open meeting or something that your upline's done where they talk about that. You need to spend a little bit of time and think through that so that you can kill those objections right there. And if you don't do that, then you're going to have a lot of people say, well, I saw this 7 years ago. So what? Okay? If you help them understand it, you'll go ahead and sponsor them. Okay? Now the next part of the plan is the line of sponsorship. Okay? And that goes back to the dream. It's your credibility. When you show the line of sponsorship, what you're doing is you're borrowing credibility from somebody who's already done it. Okay? The best tool we got for that is what? Profiles of success. Okay? How many of y'all have a profiles of success already? Okay? It's one of the first things you need to get people as they start showing the program. It's very professional. And what you're doing is you're going through there and you're going through the lifestyle of the different diamonds. You can talk about Dexter and Bertie. You can talk about all the different people that you've heard on tapes. And, it's a dream building session. You're flipping through there and you're looking at a bunch of millionaires and multimillionaires who the last 20 years have developed this thing, and you can listen to them on tape and learn from them. And what you're doing is you're using that credibility as you show the program. See, I use Dexter. We're going to be with Dexter Thursday. I use Dexter every night. I borrow his credibility. That little book right there is was done so it's professional, and somebody can see that this is not a rinky-dink thing. So you're using your upline there. I'm gonna kill some hang-ups in the plan. I'm gonna kill a status thing. Status people buy things they don't want with money they ain't got to impress people don't like. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that sometimes. I may talk about people say they don't have time, and I'm gonna talk about making their time count, duplication. There's only 3 ways to make money. One is to make money with your time. One is to make money through investment. Other things, learn how to duplicate your time. Multiplication of time. That's the whole key to this thing. That's what franchising is all about. I'm going to talk a little bit about the job, the rut system. I'm going to hit those type of things when I'm doing the plan. Now, how do you learn how to do all this? Same way I did. You know how I learned how to do the plan? I watched my upline do it. I came to meetings. I sat down. Every time I come to a meeting, I'm taking notes. I'm learning. How many of y'all have learned at least one thing tonight? Just one little thing to keep you more on track. So you're writing notes. You come in. Every time you see one of these pearls or direct do the plan, you're going to pick up a few little things. Man, I'm going to try that, And so that's the way you learn how to do the plan. Now, I end up the plan with the 4 benefits, which we always do, which is a wholesale, small retail, professional sales, and networking. And today I've been talking about, wholesale and small retail. That doesn't require any commitment. Doesn't require any money. A little bit of money. You got to get it. I go through the kit, what it costs to get involved, and that'll allow them to buy wholesale through the year. And they get $50 worth of products in the very beginning anyway, so they got to make up $30 to be ahead. I'll just tell you this: you'll never show the program to anybody who understands it, who will not get involved if nothing else than to buy wholesale. It'd be impossible. Anybody that tells you they understand it and don't get involved don't understand it. Because if they can save enough money on just a few items in a year, they ought to get involved. Okay? So my mind is everybody ought to get in. At this point, if I've contacted them and they were ready, and I've shown the whole program, and I'm at this point, they're in. They're going to do one of these: wholesale, small retail, professional sales, networking. I'll say wholesale, small retail doesn't require much commitment. Little commitment, little money. Okay? The professional sales and networking, if you're going to make a lot of money, you got to be committed. You got to put a lot of work, a lot of effort in there. Okay? So I'm going to talk about that. And it's all right to tell people it's going to take commitment. New people. It won't scare them off. New people, they'll get in with you a lot quicker if you tell them it's going to take work and effort than they will if you tell them it won't. Or if you try to hide the work and the effort from them. Okay? Anybody that won't get involved because it takes effort to do it, you don't want them in anyway. Because they don't understand life. People that you'll find that'll do this thing, the people that knows it take effort, they're just looking for something that'll work. They don't mind working. That's not their problem. They're looking for something that else will work. They'll do the work. They're just looking for the vehicle. And so anyway, you keep the leadership posture with them, and you're leading them. Here are your basic benefits. Okay. Now, write this down. At the end of the plan, this is probably the most critical part as far as keeping the posture. Okay? We've kept the posture all the way through, right? Y'all with me? How you feel?
Great.
Yeah, y'all are awake. Okay. You got the posture all the way through. You get right here to the very end, and you can say, which of these benefits you like most? I like this and this, and you say, whew. Now, first of all, once they do that, that means what? They're in. Please don't get up and do a dance in front of them. Really. Please don't run to the phone, call your upline, I got one. Don't do that kind of thing. You may feel like it, but just got to be cool, and act like it's no big deal. It's the 8th one you've had today, and but because you don't want to get them in a posture position saying, hey, it's like you got somebody, because that's not what we're doing here. So this is important. They must understand. At the end of the plan, they must understand who the leader is. And the more you've been around, the more you'll understand this. They must understand who the leader is. At the end of the plan, if you don't lead them, they'll lead you. They'll start telling you stuff like, well, what I want to do is I want to try the products for a little while and see if they're pretty good. Give us a break. But you got a lot of people, if you don't lead them at the end of the plan, they'll start telling you what I'm going. Well, what I want to do is I want to use the products for a little while, and then if I feel real comfortable about it, then what I do is maybe share that with some of them, and the guy said, well, we got and at my church, what we're doing is trying to raise some money, and what we do is I thought I'd get all the people in my church involved in it, and we'll send a flyer out, and we'll do this. They got all kind of ideas, right? Dan's laughing back here, right? We're gonna ship it to Mexico and back, right? Dan had a guy followed up. We're gonna ship it to. We're gonna use the trade, the deals coming back, barges coming back in from Mexico and load it up. And, you know, people got all these ideas, and but what you got to do is you got to lead them. And so at the end of the program, when guys like this benefit, this benefit, this benefit, then you know you got to say to them, "I'll be as committed to you to help you build your business as you'll be committed to you." And you'll be committed to this thing. I'll be as committed to you as you are committed to it. And say, is that fair? You know, you gotta be willing to let them know where you stand without bossing them. You know, you can't turn around and be their boss, but you also got to let them know that you're the leader. And one thing you do at the end of the program is to set up a definite time to get back with them. Guy says, I like this benefit. Say, great, I'll get back in touch with you. The guy says, I'll get back in touch with you. What you want to do is at the end of the program, I like this benefit, then you got to have the information. You need to have a pack put together. You need to have the right things in there. You need to have the right tapes to hand them. Sometimes I'll change the tapes I give people. So I got some flexibility there. I want to be able to give them a catalog, you know, personal shopper's catalog. I want to give them an Amogram. Right now the annual report just came out. How many of y'all got the current Amway annual report? That's a fantastic sponsoring thing. What credibility is in that thing if you just read through it. We got a few. I know your upline's probably got a stack of them, and right now till they go out, whoever gets them first can have one or two to use. But I'll have that in that pack. I'll have a couple of tapes in there, and I'll have the book Promises to Keep in there. And what I'll do is I'll go through it. So you're going to need to listen to these tapes right here and go through this material, and I'll tell them why. Pull the Promises to Keep book out. So you like to read, and they'll say, no, so well, it's got a lot of pictures. And they'll kind of laugh and say, just read through. Here's got some questions people ask about the business in here. Maybe read a couple of them out. But anyway, I don't spend a lot of time, but I say, you're going to need to go through this. And then I'll tell them, I say, listen, if we're going to need to set up a time to get back together at an open meeting. I'll say, listen, the person's going to lend you this pack, but don't take it and run off with it. If you're not going to go through this thing tonight, the next day, if you're not going to be able to get back, if we're going to have to chase you down to get our pack back, don't take our stuff. Okay? And just you got to tell people that. Okay? One-on-one. When you handed that pack out, so I need you to go through these things. Now pull out my calendar. What's your schedule look like the next couple of days? We're going to need to get back together and get your questions answered. And an important thing, it'll help you a lot, is to give a calendar to them right there at that point. So I've got a calendar. Pull your calendar out. Open it up. Jeff, you got your calendar right there? Okay? Open that thing up real quick. I'll bet you this thing's full, right? And it's got a bunch of scribbly marks on here, right? You got half of it covered up. But, he's out there doing it every night. But if he came up, he said, well, listen, you just tell me when you want to get back with me. My calendar's free, man. I ain't got nothing the rest of the month. I'm clean. He's lost his posture. If right now you're just getting started and you don't have a lot of meetings booked in there, then write in things like go to grocery store, go to work, come home from work, whatever you need to make your calendar look like you're busy. Who wants to be with somebody that's just going to be laying around waiting on them to need you or whatever? So anyway, set up a definite time to get back with somebody. Just say you're doing it. You did this whole program, everything's great, and I like this benefit, and give them a calendar, and they say, well, I just can't commit to when I can get back with you. I'll need to kind of think through this thing, and I'll give you a call back. Or why don't you give me a call, in a few days, and then we'll set up a time maybe to get back together. How many of y'all done that? It goes back to posture again. Moment of truth. See, I'll tell you 9 times out of 10, if you don't set up a definite time to get back with them, when you try to get back with them, you'll spend the next week or two chasing them down again. Okay? And you'll have lost your posture with them. So you did everything right, by the book, right down to the very end, and then all of a sudden they started leading you. So if somebody won't give you a definite time to get back with them, you'd be better off not to leave your stuff with them. Because just tell them, say, listen, if you can't give me a time we get back together, then what I'll end up doing is calling you up, and you'll say you hadn't got time and this and that, and we'll end up spending the next couple of weeks, and I ain't got time for that. And I said, we can set up a definite time, great, and if not, let's just, you give me a call back when you're ready. Now, would you believe that I believed in what I was doing or not? Would you be more apt to get in with me? Why? Do I believe in what I'm doing? Do I believe in the business? Do I believe in myself? Am I confident? Am I committed? Okay? I'm going to increase my sponsoring rate. Okay? Now, the reason I know these things is because I do them every night. I mess up every bit of this stuff. And I sit down and say, well, boy, you've done it again. Right? I'm telling you, I'm the expert. I've messed up more of this stuff. I've lost my posture more times. But the thing about me is I feel bad about it because I know I did it. And where a lot of you have been losing your posture and didn't figure out what it was. Okay? And so now you'll feel like bad like me. Okay? And that's what the whole purpose is. So we're going to get even. And anyway, if they're real evasive, there's a hang-up somewhere. Now, if a guy doesn't have any hang-ups and you can't schedule a time because he's going out, you won't have any trouble figuring that guy out. He'll be right up front with you. This is great. He'll make a commitment to you, and he'll be a man of his word. But for the guy who's got a hang-up about it, he'll sound like he's positive and everything, but he's evasive. So with them, you got to say, listen, is there anything that I hadn't covered here tonight? Is there any kind of question you got that you hadn't asked me? Well, no, you pretty well covered all. You know that isn't true. What's the one thing right now that would hold you back from really being committed to this thing? You know, you got to zero in, and when he tells you the one thing, that may not be it. You say, is anything other than that? In other words, if I cover this one little problem here, that's all it'll take, and you'll be fired up. Well, no, there's something else. Well, what is it? What is the bottom line? Because if you can get to it, it may still be he's hung up about soap, or he's afraid his wife won't let him, or whatever. Okay? And so you got different things, and no matter what their thing is, you got a way to handle it. So anyway, I won't spend a lot of time on that, but if you'll just keep your posture all the way through, your sponsoring rate will go up. Not only that, when you sponsor somebody, you start people off with commitment. You don't baby them in the beginning. You say, here's what you need to do, and if you do, they'll respond a lot better. And you know, you can tell people, it's going to cost me money to get you started. It costs me money every time I sponsor somebody. It costs me time. It costs me my materials. So it's going to cost me money to get somebody started, and if somebody's not willing to do some of the things that I asked them to do to build this thing, then it'd be better off for me not to spend my time with them, but spend my time with somebody else. And you can just say that to somebody and say, that's fair enough. But you can't talk down to people and holler at them and scream at them and boss at them like it happens at work. Okay? Because if you do that, it won't work. But you got to be willing to state your position. And you know, people going to respect this business in proportion to the amount of commitment it takes to build it. That's how they're going to judge their respect to it. So, anyway, I've been talking a long time, but let me just hit some other stuff. This is the basics here, right here. This is the mechanics. You can get this stuff down, and just do I think you're going to make some more mistakes? If you do anything, you're going to make some mistakes. And but you know, you're going to have to do it a few times to get your belief and excitement. The thing is, let's don't wait 6 months to try it. Best time to contact somebody is tomorrow. Pick up the phone, call somebody, say, hey, listen, I'm involved in Business People to Marketing Network. Practice it on the way home. Get some tapes out there, okay? I'm going to do a little night out and talk about but how to build depth and everything, but I really believe we ought to program people in the beginning, new people, to put out 20 or 30 prospect advertising tapes. Put out 20 or 30 advertising tapes. Get the word out there, because that'll give you something to work with. If you put 20 or 30 of them out there, I'll guarantee you'll have about 10 or 15 of them chomping at the bit, and it'll be a whole lot easier to keep your posture with them. Okay? And when you start off, it's better. This is a little thing I look back we used to do, and sometimes we forget to do this. I know I do, and that is to set up 2 or 3 meetings with people in the very beginning to help them get started. You set up a time to follow them up, and at that follow-up, you either make some phone calls with them or go hand some tapes out, or set up 2 more get-togethers so that you can, the ones that can't come one night can come another, or so the ones you contact one night, you can go back and follow them up so that you got some continuity in there. Go ahead and set up 2 or 3 meetings at a time. Some of y'all that are out there getting it, write that down, because that's important. 2 or 3 meetings at a time. So based on what your commitment is, if you'll just start off and if you'll just be excited, so I'm going to do this thing for the next 90 to 120 days or 90 days to 6 months, and I'm going to do it on total faith. I'm going to run as hard as I can, and I'm going to be excited and fired up. I'm going to feel great. I'm going to be different. I'm going to have a little sparkle. I'm going to dress as sharp as I can, look as sharp as I can. I'm going to have a dream, be excited about it. You're going to grow. You're going to need some tools. You know, you're going to need a tape player or 2 or 3 or 4. We used to, probably a lot of you don't have enough tape players. to listen to tapes, to learn. You need to have tape. How many of you have tape players in your car? Okay, a lot of you, you have tape players in your car, and the tape players around the house, depending on how I got talking about that, is probably broken. You know, you need to have a tape player. You get up in the morning, you got a tape player laying on your dresser while you're getting dressed. You put a tape in there and punch it on while you're getting dressed, and you're learning something. See? And you head down the road, you listen to a tape on the way to work, you listen to a tape on the way home from work, and when you're going out to a meeting, while you're getting dressed around the house, you know, listen to a tape. Okay? We're gonna recommend some books for you to read. And like I said in the beginning, if you don't like to read, just kind of breeze through the pictures and everything. But start working on reading at least a page a day. And then if you build up, you know, you get to read 2 or 3. Some of y'all love to read, but if you can get to where you're reading 15, 30 minutes a day, putting some good stuff in, good stuff out. And so reading's important. Anyway, we could talk on and on, but the exciting thing is, hey, where can you be?
While the techniques and approaches suggested have worked for others, no one can guarantee that these techniques and approaches will work for you. We hope, however, that the ideas presented here will assist you in developing a strong and profitable business. This is a copyrighted program of Internet Services Corporation. Unauthorized reproduction of this tape is prohibited. Purchase of this tape is optional.